Hello, my fellow Nigerians, both home and abroad. Today, I want to talk about the issue of Senator Akpabio and Senator Natasha that has been trending on the internet for the last few days. Ordinarily, I wouldn't want to talk about this issue, but it becomes pertinent on some of us who are leaders of Nigeria to talk about it because it's becoming messy the way things are going on the internet about it. First and foremost, my sympathy goes to Senator Natasha, who has been getting so many protests against her on the internet. And when it comes to sexual harassment issue, is a very sensitive topic. Now, before you delve into it, you have to be careful what you want to say and what you have to say. Sexual harassment issue is not what anybody can determine who is lying or who is telling the truth, because it's always done in the coven. It takes only two people to get involved in sexual harassment, in rape, and every of these acts that are immoral. A lot of time, there is not always a third party there. So it means that it's only two people, the harasser and the harassee, only that can be able to say the truth or lie about it. So when we bring the public into sexual harassment issue, it becomes a dangerous trend. It is so sad for me that in our country, where there is hunger, where there is poverty, yet we are paying protesters to protest against Senator Natasha, even when the protesters does not even have a reason, don't even know what happened in this case. Just a version of what they were being told. Some of them don't even know the reason why they are protesting. I'm sure they have been paid 5,000, 10,000 naira to go and protest. And the question I ask this woman is, if Natasha was your daughter, if Natasha was your sister, would you still go out to protest against her? Also, why do we are so influential? Why do politicians, why do leaders in our country so quick to organize people to protest for them if they know they are not guilty of what they do? I'm not here to say whether Senator Akpabio is guilty or not guilty. I'm not here to say whether Natasha is telling the truth or lying. But when Senator Natasha alleged that something happened between her and the Senate president, then it is the right thing for us to do in our country to investigate it. That is why we have ad hoc committee of the Senate that looks into sexual harassment. What happened to this committee? Why are we using public sentiment to judge and adjudicate this case? Instead, what we need is a public accountability from our leaders and not public sentiment. There are millions of things Nigerians are supposed to be protesting for that they're not protesting for it. Nigerians are not protesting for poverty. Nigerian women are not protesting for inability of them to send their kids to school because of high cost of living. Nigerian women are not protesting for high cost of fuel that many of them cannot even feed their family. But they are protesting for sexual harassment between Senator Akpabio and Senator Natasha, which they have no clue of, which they have no knowledge of, just because a lot of them were being paid 5,000 or even less. We know how politicians do in our country. We know how they pay people to do things. They want to control the narrative a lot of time, and this is one of them. If Senator Natasha has, of course, have the right to and did alleged that there was a sexual harassment between herself and the Senate president, the right thing to do is to ask the Senate committee to look into it. The Senate president is not above the law. The most powerful country on earth, United States of America, had its president, President Bill Clinton, involved in sexual harassment cases. It was probed. The president didn't use his power to call people to be protesting on his behalf. When are we going to stop in Nigeria? When will leaders, politicians stop in our country using people against people, using Nigerians against Nigerians, spending our taxpayers' money to oppress us? When the oppressee also going to learn that this oppressor will stop at nothing. I can assure you that by the end I'm done with this video, it might not even be carried by the blogs. Because the bloggers will like to help the oppressors amplify their voices and not amplify the voice of ordinary Nigerians. This has been going on for too long. When a woman alleged sexual harassment, we have to think deeply before we jump into the conclusion that she's lying, she's not telling the truth. So that is why when it comes to sexual harassment cases, whether to a male or to a female, I will speak, and I will speak the truth of it without supporting anybody. See, sexual harassment is a pandemic in our nation, and we all know it. And we're all guilty of it. It is not only in the political sector. We have sexual harassment in every part of our country. In the banking sector, in the movie sector, in the music sector, in oil sector, in private sectors, even in our places of worships, churches and mosques. We have sexual harassment rampaging our nation. So we cannot claim, you cannot just claim to say you're going to fight on the behalf of a man or a woman over sexual harassment. That is not to say we don't have some men or some women that lie sometimes about sexual harassment. But it's a very sensitive matter that when it's brought into public, then we must be careful which side we are on. Because at the end of the day, we may be on the wrong side of the story. There's a lot going on in our country that Nigerian women should be protesting about, but they refuse to. There's a case of women that came together in abroad, in foreign investors that came to invest $250 million in our country, over 500 billion naira. And their money is their land is being grabbed, their money is being taken away. We don't see Nigerian women protesting against that. Because most of those women that are in that protest, some of them could even get a job just by the side where those investors are building homes to sell food to workers there. Employment. But because Nigerian politicians makes people so poor, so they can use them at will. Make people so poor, they can use them at will. That is something very important, something urgent that needs protest by all Nigerian men, Nigerian women, Nigerian youths. But we left the foreign investors to fight for their battle. But now we're fighting for Senator Akpabio, who was alleged to be harassing another senator of his, Senator Natasha. Let us be clear. Even if you don't see the truth in what this man is saying, a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, do you change her seat without her knowledge, without her consent, without informing her in a democratic society? No. You let her know that, Senator, we are changing your seat for so and so reasons. So there is an undertone that shows that something already was wrong. And that is why the whole thing escalated to what we have in the public today. So if we have all of these things in the public domain, can we, Nigerians, stay away from politicians using us against us? All of these women that came out to protest, if Natasha was your daughter, would you join such protests? If Natasha was your sister and the breadwinner of your home, would you protest against Natasha? If Natasha was your family, would you protest against Natasha? You will not. Most of you have been raped. Most of you have been harassed by many men. And yet you came out to protest for a man, another man, because little money is involved. 5,000, 10,000 naira. It is obvious that all these protesters were being paid. Because if they were not being paid, how would majority of them don't even have an idea of what they were protesting for? It is so sad for our nation that what we are running is a jungle and not a nation. In a jungle, anything goes. And that is what we are doing. We're running a jungle and not a nation. But someday we're going to run a country and not a jungle the way we are running. It's a country that we have everything, but we lack everything. We have common sense, but we still lack common sense. I'm not here to support Natasha or to support anybody. But let the truth be told. Nigerians should stop being used when politicians feel that they want to control narrative of events that affects them on social media. A Senate president is not above the law. If a Senate president is found wanting, then he should be probed. Sexual harassment is a pandemic in our nation. We cannot claim that it's not happening. We cannot claim that anybody is above it. A woman came on internet and said, because the senator is above harassment. And I laughed because that woman is ignorant. There is nobody. The only person that is above harassment in our nation might be just the first lady. Anybody else, of course, can be harassed, even to the first lady of the nation. So how would you come to say a senator is above harassment? Nobody is above harassment. So what is happening to Natasha today is a reflection of our society. Society where we make people so poor so that we can use them at will to what we want. So I call on Nigerians, let us stop supporting politicians who are doing what is wrong and use our money to pinch us against us. Natasha has alleged the Committee on Sexual Harassment of the Senate should look into it, should probe it. And whoever is found wanting, submit their report and let Nigerians know. Nigerians should stay away from sexual harassment. And Nigerian women, stop being used by politicians to protest this, to protest that. I remember a few months ago when we were protesting about bad government. Some women, some youth were put together to come and protest for good government. A few days later, they were telling us they were not being paid. Some of them didn't even know what they were protesting for. We make our people so uneducated, so poor so that we can use them at will. We should stop this someday. Nigeria will be a great nation again someday. And all of this harassment, all of this twisting the public against the public will stop. I stand with the truth. And Natasha and Senator Akpabio should be made to face a probe. And after the probe, let's hear the report of the probe. Someday, Nigeria will be a great nation again. My name is Faduri Oluwadare Joseph, the leader of Rescue Movement for New Nigeria. Someday, Nigeria will be rescued and be a great nation and be among the greatest nation on earth. Thank you.